Hello, hello. How's it going? What's happening, my dudes? How are we today? Um, yeah, good. YouTube's been looks bad. YouTube's having issues. Is it laggy? YouTube's kind of screwed today. So if it looks laggy, I'll try to debug it. But YouTube's just shit in the bed today, so we'll see if I can or not. Um it looks on my side bad, but I can't tell honestly if it's like send a message every minute. Oh my god. How does it look on your guys' end? Can someone let me know, cuz it's it's YouTuber, it's laggy, yeah. I have like multiple videos that are stuck. I have slow mode is on for way too long. Laggy, buffering. Yeah. Drop frames. All sorts of things going on today with YouTube. I refreshed all my stuff, but super laggy. Yeah, yeah. We're not looking good. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. I might have been able to fix it. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. I might have been able to fix it. Like a little delayed, but yeah, drop frames. Yeah, yeah. I think it's fine now. Yeah, it's fine now. Okay, good. We're fixed. We're fixed. YouTube's just been having all these crazy issues, and so like all my settings reset, all sorts of like connection stuff reset. I think we're okay now. I think I've fixed the issues that I was experiencing. It looks good on my end now. If you're still having issues, refresh. We should be good now. We should be good now. If you're still having any issues, just refresh. We're good now. It's actually fine now. No more dropped frames. Everything looks okay. So yes, refresh if you have an issue. We're good now. It's all fixed. Thank you. And I apologize for the recommend that you use a bit rate of 60. All right, we should be okay. We were just yeah, YouTube. I've published a couple videos earlier and they're sitting there waiting. They're sitting there waiting in the queue, whatever that is, for something to happen. What are you gonna do? For being checked and things like that. So, but yeah, I do have a few things to talk about today. Oh, they finally cleared right as I went live. Of course, my video finally clears as soon as I go live. Hours of it being stuck, and finally things are getting. Let's gonna talk about Jesco, Keepers, Hojlund, Baleba, and Amorim's 11. Typing some stuff out here. Okay, let's get to it. Have I seen the Garnacho picture where he's holding a vape? No. Where should I be looking for these pictures? Today I will not be bringing guests. Today I will be just working. I will just be talking. I am a Baleba. I am a Baleba. Where should I be looking for these pictures? And then I'll kind of get into everything. We need some shirtless guys. Yeah. Smoking. Well, I that doesn't answer my where. You know, I'm asking where am I supposed to see these pictures? Where are these? Where are these pictures? Where are these pictures? Where are they, man? We'll search on Twitter or X. Isn't that picture quite old? By the way, I'm about 99% sure that picture's quite old. I remember seeing it like a year and a half ago. Picture with the vape on the couch or whatever. So I'm pretty sure that that's old. But I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about. Anyway, whatever. Let's get into what we want to talk about today. First, I want to speak about Ruben Amorim's 11. No. First, we'll do some of the talk about the tactics and things like that afterwards. Okay. I first want to talk about Šeško and Onana because no, we'll do that afterwards. Damn it, I got my whole shit out of order because I got thrown by my video not working here in this stuff. Let's talk about Rasmus Hojlund. Okay. Let's talk about the exact Hojlund situation and what we're dealing with right now. Okay. Because at the moment, the work is essentially being done on whether or not he will stay or go. Okay. And the reality of the situation is that Rasmus Hojlund wants to stay at Manchester United. I'm a believer too. Rasmus wants to stay at Manchester United. You know, we were speaking about this on Friday. We spoke about it on Saturday. Following the game as well, Rasmus wants to stay at Manchester United. He wants to be here. He wants to play at United. He wants to continue. Now, the message from Ruben Amorim, I think, was extremely clear yesterday, between not playing him, subbing on different players, putting 3 different players at the number 9 without putting Rasmus Hojlund on the pitch. I think it could be about as clear as day. But obviously, you know, he's still wanting to stay. Now, it's a bit of a complicated situation here, but the truth of the matter is United kind of need this move in order to make more moves in the market. Now, we've heard that before about that we need to sell in order to buy and things like that, and then United have just gone out and done deals anyway. So I'm a little wary of saying that, but my information is at this time, happy to be wrong about this, but my information is at this time that we do need progress on outs in order to do what we need to do on Baleba, which I'll talk about here in a few minutes. And even on the loan, it would help us quite a bit in order to, you know, for him to go. In terms of saving funds, saving money, things like that. If we didn't want to do anything else in the window, if we weren't intending to make more signings, if we weren't trying to get other work done, then I believe Ruben Amorim would be okay keeping him and having him compete. Now, how much would he play? How much would he get in the team? Probably not a lot. I mean, there's a reason we went for 3 forwards this year. There's a reason they spent 85 million euros on Benjamin Šeško, because we needed a striker so badly. And there's a reason why Joshua Zirkzee was not really up for sale this summer. And that's, again, because there's just players that are rated different in different situations. So United are and have been set to have discussions. They've had some discussions. They'll have more discussions with Rasmus Hojlund on accepting some kind of move. But like I said the other day, it was not a sure thing that he was ready to go on a permanent. The loan deal is basically on the table for him. It's pretty much ready to go from AC Milan. And he just has to accept it. Now, as I've maintained on this from my perspective, I think he's left the door open a teeny crack on going on loan rather than a permanent deal. But it's all subject to change with the pushes and discussions that United will be having with him and are continuing to have and have had after yesterday's game as well. Now, one of the things I've heard that maybe is slightly new on this is I think that his people have been in the last few hours, day maybe, working on his situation to talk about that he should take the move, that he should move. So, it's a situation where, his advisors, I think, need to be smart about this too. I'll give some examples here when I look at it. Diogo Dalot went on loan to AC Milan, came back, became an important player in the squad. Amad Diallo went on multiple loans, came back, became an important player in the squad. He's got to understand that this is very probably the best thing he could possibly do for his career. And his agents around him, I'm sure as of now, understand the situation. And for his career, for them, for everybody, it would be the best thing for him to accept some kind of move. So it's an ongoing situation where his representatives need to do the right thing in convincing him. His representatives need to do the right thing in convincing him to leave. And United need to continue to push on this to make it happen. Because United need progress, as far as I know, on these deals in order to move forward with the other potential plans this summer, which there's midfielder, which there's goalkeeper, and all of that. So, yeah, it's a little bit stuck, and it is slowing down potential further progress in the window at this stage. It is slowing it down. Now, unfortunately, you say something like that, it's just going to lead to more abuse and things like that too, which is why I get wary of saying it. Because again, I'm trying to be a lot nicer this season to players. I'm trying to be a lot nicer to individuals. I'm trying to be a lot kinder in general on people. I get the difficulties and the emotional aspects of this, but it is holding things up to a degree. It is slowing us down. And the faster it gets resolved, the better it would be in that situation. So it is what it is. We'll see where it's resolved. There are set to be more discussions now, and all of that. Moving players out at United is hilarious, man, because you get all of these people like you have the whole, I mean, Marcus Rashford is the only guy playing football today. How stupid is that for the rest of these players involved? Like, how stupid is that? Anthony, you're not playing football. It's August 10th. Rashford's playing in friendlies. Teams are playing in serious games. Leagues have started. Leagues are starting. You're sat showing up to training early in the morning by yourself. That's stupid to me. It's really, really thick from these people, from some of these players. Like, I can get it early on in the window, picking your club, all of that, wanting to make sure it happens. Once you reach a certain point, it gets absurd, you know? And Rashford's the one who gets the most hate too. Yeah, exactly. He was the only one who actually did have a move kind of lined up, amusingly. The rest of them, it's just been ridiculous. So I thought Anthony would have got his move by now. But these guys, it's like, it's absurd. And now you look at the Garnacho situation, and now Chelsea are playing more games. I'm not honestly like I felt that they would be making an offer soon, and there was decent indications they'd be making an offer soon, and it was like, personal terms agreed and all of that. Now I think Chelsea are playing games again, because now they're starting to do this like, well, actually, we're gonna move Jackson and Nkunku first before we make offers for Garnacho. I don't think they're gonna buy him, honestly. I think they're playing games. I think that they're going to play games, and then who's going to buy these players, When is Nkunku going to get a move? When is Jackson going to get a move? The options are limited. They're going down. It's getting worse by the day. Chelsea may end up just getting Xavi Simons, and I feel like that's what's going to happen. They'll end up moving some players, and they'll get Xavi Simons, and Garnacho will be last, maybe. I feel like they're playing games, honestly. I think they're playing games. And I think he's being fooled, and I've kind of felt that way all summer, that they keep messing up, they keep messing the deal around, and every time they're like advancing, and then they wait, and then they advance, and then they wait, and maybe they want to wait to the end of the window. But let me just say something for you, okay? I'm gonna say something for you, even about that strategy. Let's say they're waiting to the end of the window. Do they really want him then? The season kicks off on Friday. I look at it as a club, and I just recognize something as a fan. Okay, recognize something as a fan. If we really want Baleba, for example, if we really want these players, we don't want to wait until the end of the window to get them, just so we can save a few £1,000,000. We want them in because we think they're going to help us. You look at Chelsea's season here, they're starting on Friday. If they actually think he's important to them, if they actually think he's important to them, if they actually think he's going to contribute to their success this season, then they should want him right now, coming in to help them win games. If they have title aspirations, which they do, every point matters. Every week matters. Every game matters. You can't just be weaker for 3 weeks as you get through the first month, through the last month of the window, through the start of the season. You can't afford to lose games. You can't afford to lose minutes if you have those aspirations. So in that case, you look at it and it's like, I don't even think they want him. He's just maybe. Maybe we care. Maybe we won't. I don't think they're as serious as he thinks they are. Or they would be done. And then you look at like when they even if they were going to get him and they wait to the end of the window for Garnacho, he's not going to have played football. He's going to have no minutes, no preseasons, no nothing. And then what? You're talking about, they're saying we don't need Garnacho for 8 weeks of the season, for 6 weeks of the season. Let's be realistic. 8's a little dramatic. We don't need Garnacho for 6 weeks of the season. So if they don't need Garnacho for 6 weeks of the season, then how serious are they about him? you know? And it's the same with Antony. Like with Chelsea, I think they have aspirations. With Antony, I think Betis do want him, but they are actually money starved. But they don't want him bad enough to like, I think if they miss out, they miss out. They're in a different situation at Chelsea. But I just look at it like, I don't see it with Garnacho. I don't see that Chelsea, like, where is he even going to play? So yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess, I think. It's a bit of a mess on that front. And it seemed like Chelsea were going to approach, but now I worry they're just playing games. Like there was communication. They agreed the fee, they're advancing on talks, and now they're backtracking again. When you go by the news and the stuff they're briefing, now they're backtracking again. They were ready to advance in conversations for Garnacho, and now they're backtracking that they need to sell other players. So, it's complicated. It is complicated. And then there's Sancho. Sancho is a totally different story. I don't think Sancho has a hope in hell of getting a move. I wouldn't honestly be surprised if Sancho's just here at the end of the window at this point. I mean, he'll probably get some sort of cheap loan, cost virtually nothing, cover some of his wages, and then we'll never hear about him again. He'll get to Juventus for like 125K a week covered. We'll pay a bunch of his wages. We get financially screwed on the deal, but at least his deal expires next year and he's gone. I don't know that that's a good move for his career, but it seems like that's the play. Just hold out and hold United to it. So I don't know what's happening on these guys, but we do need some progress. And I'm real disappointed in the what's the word for it? Desire of some of these players to play football, especially in a World Cup season. Especially in a World Cup year. The fact that they're just like whatever is so weird to me. It's so strange. I do not get how people can act like that. I don't. But this is what happens. And Garnacho's restrictions have become more than only Premier League teams, even Daquan. It's like it's gone from only Premier League teams to only Chelsea. And we've pretty much done whatever we can to push them out. But there's also legal challenges, by the way, in certain things that people are asking them to do. There are legal challenges in some of these things. I know that people may not realize that, but there are players' unions, there are legal things. There was a potential case that came up with Sancho being in during the whole original Sancho situation. So there are limitations to what the club can even do in these situations. So yeah, it's tricky. The biggest thing is that we do need to see some progress on a few of these deals. We do need to see that. I'm worried about that aspect of it. Because that's what can hold things up right now. Now it's complicated because it's kind of like, because like I said, we need some progress on these things in order to make a deal for Baleba. Kind of. I feel debatable on that between all the information that I have and my assessment of the situation. I feel like there's still a chance we'll probably just try to do it anyways, in terms of trying to move forward with another deal that we want to make. But I do think one way or another, it limits us in what we can put on the table for a deal and how much flexibility we have for a deal should we not get some progress on these kinds of outs. So Yeah, it's complicated. I think that if we weren't needing, like, if we weren't needing them to be done in order to help us, then um then we'd probably be fine with keeping like Hoyland in the team. But we need it. I think that's the biggest factor when you look at it. Like Rasmus Hojlund, a 5 million loan fee and his wages saved for the season gives them 10, 11 million in cash to use. That helps a lot in terms of what kind of flexibility you'd have on a Baleba deal. So I don't know, man. I don't know. And then you have Bayindir, which it's not his fault, but he's at all. I mean, he might even have to play on our first game of the season. So, um, you know, that we probably need to sell for a keeper. So, do I think they rejoin training? No, I don't think they will. I think any of them that are here are not going to rejoin, to be quite honest. Despite what Ruben said, I think any of them that are not here are not going to rejoin. So, we're working on the Hojlund situation. I think there's a crack in the armor there. I think there's a slight door open to this loan move to Milan, and that's what everybody's pushing on at this point in time. And I think he's got to accept that. That will help us. If Chelsea actually do make this move for Garnacho, that will certainly help us too. So we'll see. We shall see what happens with that. But that's what's needed. The strategy on Baleba here is, because obviously I think that we need him. Yeah, I'll talk about the closed door friendly. There's nothing scheduled yet, I don't believe, but I think that they're working on it. The strategy with Baleba here, as I've said before, the biggest thing is it comes down to we want to make a really good first offer that will open up our chances of making a deal. If the first offer falls short and is a miss, or we don't have the flexibility to make a good offer, then we could lose our chance of getting the Baleba deal done. Okay? And that's a part of why we need this kind of progress.
Isco fractured his tibia yesterday and out for 3/4 months. But he might have to push forward with the Anthony deal now.
You would hope shenanigans, because that could help us too, for sure. That could help us too. No, I don't think that clubs are sitting there saying, oh, we're not going to buy players because you need to fund Baleba. It's just, we just have to be able to do it. That's all. It really comes down to that. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise right now that is just noise on this thing. A lot of people trying to talk just for the sake of talking. Ironic, I know, because I do videos every day. But there is a lot of noise just for the sake of noise. Okay, that's all. There just is. There's a lot of noise. And it's about like people personal terms and this and that, and that's not the issue. The issue at the moment is we're working through the deal on these other fronts, and in the meantime keeping the Baleba situation there, keeping in contact, keeping the door open, and just getting prepared to see if we can make an offer that keeps this deal alive and makes it possible. And it's going to be tough. So that's why it's actually quiet in terms of like reports, so I'll give credit on this surprisingly to, not surprisingly, but I'll give credit to this to Fabrizio, which sometimes people say is just recycling and this and that. But the thing is recycling is more accurate than people trying to drive the story on with different things. We've been in touch with his reps. We're going to keep in touch with his reps. It's like there's personal terms. It's whatever. It doesn't matter, any of that. All that really matters here is when we make that approach to Brighton, does our first offer, does what we give them, what we put on the table, entice them? You know, like I said on Friday when I made the comparison to a movie, you know, you have my interest, now you have my attention. That's the kind of offer that we need, a ridiculous sum of money that is going to make it open. It doesn't mean it has to take a long time, but we need to get a serious deal on the table in order to do that. It basically, yeah, the Šeško. I mean, it's how we've done this all along. We have the players' willingness, we have their openness to it. We need a really good offer to open the door and start the conversations that is going to do it. And this is probably the toughest one. It's going to cost the most money, and we're going to need the most financial flexibility to try to get it done. So there's no guarantee here. But yeah, I think our total offer is going to have to be 90 million pounds plus if we're going to even open the conversation with Brighton. Can we do that today? I don't know. And as far as I hear, maybe not. You know, like I said, I'm wary of saying we have to sell to buy, because that's been the line, but not necessarily the truth. It's still the line right now on Baleba. You go read the article from Adam Crafton, from people like that on The Athletic, talking about different deals and things like that. It says we have to sell to buy. Now, like, we almost don't believe that anymore. You know what I mean? Simply because of what we've seen this summer. But like, you go to that Milan deal, it says United open to a loan. We know that. United have been open to a loan. We know that. We spent a ton of money. United still want to add a central midfielder in this window, but sales must be achieved to make this happen. So that's still the line. I do think it has some truth. I think it has truth in that, again, as I've said, we need money for the flexibility to do a deal like this. We need progress. That's not true. I guess we'll see. But if we had the money, I think we would have already made the offer. Okay. We would be hearing more. Do you understand me? If we already had the money lined up, we would be hearing more about this. I think all our initial contact is the player open? Does the door instantly slam shut? We're not even going to have a conversation. The door is open. The door didn't instantly slam shut. Now we have to figure out how to get this done. And I think we need it for sure. So yeah, that's the main situation. We've got to get this done. There's work to be done on this front. So hopefully soon, because you know how it is. If we had the money, we'd want him in before the Premier League season starts. You know, Jim Ratcliffe's now or never, and that whole meeting in Iceland has certainly sped up our approach and looked at that. So we'll see what happens there. Do we have another option at midfield besides Baleba? Technically, yes. And this is something I want to talk about. With how fast, I don't know why I didn't read that out, but with how fast this Baleba link has come up, do you think a sale happens in the next week? I think the Hojlund situation will be resolved before game 1. Yeah. We're running a little bit out of time here, but I think that we'll get a few loans out this week, like Harry Amos looks like a loan is heading there. I think the Rasmus situation will be resolved this week. Yeah. Because we're like at crunch time with this. I think by Tuesday, Wednesday, we will know whether Rasmus will be going out or not at that point in time. Or they'll move into the next phase. I mean, I don't know how drastic they'll get if he doesn't move, but I'm just saying, I think we will get some clarity on that by Tuesday, Wednesday, because that is a really active and honest situation at the moment. And there's a lot of people working to convince him to take the move. Just joined, but do you think if they lowball Garnacho offer close to deadline day, refuse and make him stay under 21s? Jason, I think it depends if we still think we need the money to buy someone. If we still think we need the money to buy someone in this window and it's open, I think we'd accept the low ball at that time. But if we feel like a deal's off the table or it's not going to help us, then we'll hold the line. And it'll ruin his career, honestly. We see how hard it is for players to come back from things like that. And then move him on in January. Now, I don't think we have to have deals done mind you. But I think if we were sure, because we can always buy now, sell later. We have the whole 12 months. If we're sure that those players are going to leave, then I think we'll move on a deal. So if you see movement on Baleba, I would say that would indicate we feel confident that there's more, that we're going to get some of these outs over the line in the next little bit. So yes, we will. We shall see. We shall see what happens on that. Now, are there other options? Well, yes. The two options that we went into the window with, following my own information, the two options that we had going into the window are Ederson and Adam Wharton, two different players, but two options we were very interested in, two options that were serious, two options that we really like. I think if we couldn't get Baleba done, we might still try to get one of those, and then another midfielder next summer. So I'm keeping my eyes open to that. If we cannot get Baleba over the line, if that deal goes to shit, but we have money, that we might, do this. Because again, if you think about our overall plan, this big plan we've got, right? Remember my arrow? The big plan. If we can't get one thing done, we will try the next thing. We're going to try to get as much done as we possibly can. It's now or never, So I think that it is, that we do have that potential. I've gone back and forth where I thought it's Baleba or nobody, but I think that there's a that may be true for his position, but we want two different midfielders between now and next summer. We want two different midfielders between now and next summer. So it's probably not the Baleba alternative, but like buying a different position if we can't get him. And then we go back in again next summer, but it will probably be tougher anyway. So think of it like that. It's like, it's not an alternative player, but maybe an alternative position. I'm not positive on that, but I've still had some indications that our targets of Wharton and Ederson are still at least being thought of as well. Wharton will I think Wharton's going to be really difficult to bring in, especially given they've made no transfers essentially at Palace. I mean, Glasner's like going to quit if they sell Wharton. Sorry, Peter, but you can find the tweets. I've got multiple tweets through the entire course of summer saying that Wharton and Ederson are the two midfield targets that we've had. You can find them myself there. The ability to get them is difficult, and I think Wharton is getting more difficult by the day, maybe even more difficult than Baleba to get in. I said when I did that video with KG about Baleba, I was like 6 out of 10. I'm staying at 6 out of 10 at the moment. I'm leaning more towards the likelihood that we get him than don't, simply because we want him, and we haven't walked away from it. We're still working on it, and we seem to be pretty good at getting deals when we want them. So on that front, I'm still leaning towards more likely than less likely, but we'll have to see. So yeah, but yeah, keep an eye on those things. I've never shut up about Wharton. It's a hard deal to do, but I've been on the United like Wharton train for a long time. It's like probably my most talked about name. I really liked his performance today against Liverpool, by the way. I think he's class. I mean, he's very different. It's real interesting because he does kind of replace Bruno with the way that he progresses the play from deep. He's not Bruno, but he does replace Bruno in that sense, and it's curious to me. It's curious to me. Like, if you buy Wharton and you play him with Bruno in the midfield, I think it doesn't actually do anything for you because there's only one ball. And you're like taking, like, if you're putting Wharton in there, you want him to get the ball. If you get Bruno in there, you need him to have the ball too. I don't think playing them together particularly makes any sense.
Weren't we
in
linked
my
to
opinion.
Friendrip?
We had some minor links to Friendrip, but I don't know that it's actually something we're serious about now. I know that a potential player that we've looked at, but yeah. Yeah, Wharton, modern Carrick. Yeah, I mean, really, really similar in some of the respects of how calm, composed he is on the ball. His passing is exceptional. So many things he does well. But it's like, if you're going to put him in the midfield, then you don't need another ball-dominant player in the midfield, because you only need one player to do that, essentially. It would, and especially in this system, it would feel like a waste. If you're going 4-3-3, sure. But if you're going in even a two-man midfield, Wharton feels like a Bruno replacement. And as I've said for some time here, I still kind of feel like we're like someone's leaving. Someone else is leaving besides Casemiro. Like someone is leaving. The planning, the action that we're doing, it just feels that way. It feels like someone else is leaving. Because they're different players that we're looking at in the midfield, and it does feel like we would potentially want two. Obviously, Bruno's getting older. I mean, one way or another, you may just consider it as Bruno's not going to be the long-term starter, but I don't know, man. Someone's leaving, and it does feel more like Bruno or Mainu than anybody else right now, for whatever reason, because we're not looking at like two destroyers. We're not looking at like two Balebas. I don't know. It's confusing. It could be Bruno. It could be Mainu. I think Casemiro and then maybe Bruno after the World Cup. I don't know. I just can't shake that feeling. And there's been hints at it and things like that as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's for Mainu though. I think it's a season of proving it too, though. Like I say, it's an uncomfortable conversation whenever you do this. But like, people were saying, well, Sal Garnacho will end up at Madrid. Now, I'm not making the comparison of them, but United fans do this. Like, Mainu is the biggest player FC that I've seen in like 10 years. And it's not even because I want Kobe to leave. I don't. I want him to stay and become the midfielder in the future. But we do this. Kobe has to prove himself too. And he hasn't signed a new contract. What if he doesn't nail down his position this season and he doesn't sign a new contract? Then what happens? We haven't been able to agree a contract with him. And he hasn't been able to nail down a position yet. I think people don't want to think about that, but it's the truth. The United have been in contract talks with him for a year. And it's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. There's a plan for him, but the idea that anybody is guaranteed to stay is wrong. It's a prove it year for everybody. It's a prove it year for everybody. Especially players who've been here for a few years. I don't want to sell Mainu. I want him to be the guy who takes over from Bruno. I want him to be that guy. What does he have to prove? A lot. Just appear. Okay, Jadon Sancho appeared for an England team in the Euros. Marcus Rashford used to play in the Euros. Appearing for England in the Euros doesn't secure the next 10 years of your career. It's just not how it works. Like, it's just not how it works. Like, that doesn't. I'm sorry, that isn't how it works. He's got things to improve. I'm not writing him off in the slightest, because I think he's got the talent to be the Bruno replacement and the long-term player. But it's prove it year for everybody. The manager, it's prove it for a lot of players. It's prove it for a ton of people. Pretty much anybody who wasn't signed this summer has to have a very good season in order to be there in the long term. That's for sure. So acting like nobody has guaranteed their next 10 years just because you think they're super talented. That's just not how it works. So I look at it and I go, yeah, Manu has to have a good season. He has to stay fit for one. He has to stay fit, by the way. You can't be injured half the season most of the time. That is something people have overlooked a little bit. He's got to stay fit one way or another. He has to stay fit. And he has to have a good season. So does Bruno. So does Ugarte. So does anybody. Every single player in that team has to have a good season to kind of prove it. They have to be consistent. It's like it's just what it is. I mean, Ahmad has to prove it this season to have a consistent role. Diogo Dalot has to prove it to have a consistent role. Every single player here has to have just nobody is guaranteed it. He's absolutely been given the chance to prove himself. He's played a ton of games. He's played a ton of games and a ton of minutes. This is the year, and it's the same thing. Manu was doing just fine until the system changed. That's total bullshit, by the way. Complete bullshit. Manu started in a 2 with Ten Hag in a 2. It's basically the same system, by the way. When you're talking about the deep midfielders, he started last season and he struggled. He had a really hard time and then he got injured. People forget that. He was struggling. He was struggling in that position at that time. Last season, Ruben Amorim tried him as a 10, tried him as an 8, and has tried to find the best spot for him. You can blame the system all you want, but if you're going back to, hey, let's build our entire team around one young player, you're in the wrong there. That's just not how it's going to work. Okay? Everybody has to work. If you took Manu and you stick him in Liverpool's team, he wouldn't have a secure spot either, I'm sorry to say. Would he? At the moment, Manu wouldn't start for Liverpool. At the moment, Manu wouldn't start for City. At the moment, Manu wouldn't start for Arsenal, because every one of those teams requires their midfielders to do more work than he's doing right now off the ball, and that's where he needs to improve. That's what he's got to improve. So it's not like it's just the system's fault that he's not starting today. There's a lot of teams he wouldn't start for because he hasn't yet nailed down a skill set that works for different clubs at this point in time. That's the point. So it's not just a system issue, because you couldn't say today that he would start for a top team in England until he nails some stuff down, and I think he will. And I think I think that this is where I say people are usually unable to accept, the reality of the situation, are unable to accept players' flaws. It's like, it's really funny. I got to say something that's really funny. I got to say something that's really, really funny. All right. I got to say something that's really funny. That's like that is funny. And like a slight on myself a little bit. Somebody made a comp of Benjamin Šeško and clipped my voice saying that as a striker, he needs to he doesn't score a ton of strikers' goals and needs to do some more work in the box. And then the comp is him taking 40-yard long shots and scoring them. Right? And I think it's funny. Right? Because the comp is essentially proving the point that I had on that, which is those aren't strikers' goals. Those are really good shots. Needs more strikers' goals. And the inability for people to accept potentially what a player might need to improve is just something that goes on at United too much. I can accept every single player at United has things they're not good enough at yet at this point in time. That doesn't make them bad players, but being able to accept that, it just helps and helps for open conversation. I'm never gonna like, it's like I'm never gonna have this thing where I go like, oh, we can't talk about a player, that has flaws or something. Like they're flawless because I like them. We're not doing that. I don't do that. And that's not going to happen, That's just not how I do things. We're always going to be able to talk about the flaws in players. When I spoke about the flaws in Garnacho for the last 2 years, people screamed about it and denied it. Not saying every player goes that way, but people denied the attitude problems that were there, denied the arrogance issues that were there, denied the wasteful issues that were there, said he's the best young talent we've ever had and we'll see him at Madrid and blah, 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 and all this bullshit. The flaws were there. Whether they get fixed or not will be up to the club and up to the player to sort that out. Every player at United is flawed, or he wouldn't have finished 15th last season. There's a lot of reasons why we finished 15th. There's a lot of flaws and there's a lot of things that will have to happen. But like, take the Šeško thing, right? I've got my doubts. That's all good. But if I look at him, yes, apart from Ugarte and Fred, who are flawless players that have no criticism. Exactly. Thanks, Shatters. When I look at Šeško, I look at him and I think he's an incredibly talented athlete. He's fast as hell. He jumps high as hell. He does all of that. And he's got a rocket for a shot. But there's a few things he's got to improve as of yet. That he doesn't get in the box and scrap as much as I would like him to. He doesn't take shots as much as I would like him to. You know what I mean? In the box. He doesn't get in the 6-yard box for tap-ins as much as I would like him to. I've watched all of his goals. It's a very small number of his goals. And it's okay to look at that and say, I'm being really, really excited about the player, but I can look at him as a whole and say, hey, there's some things I hope he can improve upon. And then when you actually look at it, like factually, by the way, this is Benjamin Šeško's shot chart in 23-24. This is not a lot of strikers' goals. These are shots, by the way. This is a goal. This is a goal. These are misses. 2 goals from inside the 6-yard box. So when I say I want a striker to score more strikers' goals, I want him to get in the box more. Again, it's not a huge criticism. It's not like some abuse. It's like when we play loaded boxes in England, we're going to need to get him to get in the box more. Okay. Then you go to Ollie Watkins, for example, same season, look at the difference. So my point was they have different strengths, different weaknesses, different things like that. We need Šeško's shot chart to look more like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goals from right inside the box, from right in that 6-yard area. You look at those crosses that Mbeumo was putting in the other day. I need Šeško right here scoring those as this big 6'5" guy. So it's like you can recognize what a player might need to improve. And it doesn't have to be like a big thing. There's system issues first. There's reasons why that wasn't happening that are totally because of Leipzig, but it still happened. Michel said the same thing. Yeah, agreed. I've read his pieces on Šeško, and he said the same thing about him. And he's a huge fan and a German league, reporter. So we need him to do that more. We need him to do that more. That was 23-24, so the season where he played more as a striker. So we need more of that. We just do. We just do. Because we're even in preseason, I thought we were actually doing better at putting those balls in the box. I thought we actually did a decent job. You're gonna hate this for a second, but I'm gonna show you something that will tell you why it's not like all right, ready? Here we go. This is Rasmus Hojlund's shot chart from 23-24 when he scored 13 goals. Look at how many he got inside the box. So even Rasmus was getting more of those goals. So you don't have to be like super and this is 24-25. So what happened between 23-24 and 24-25 to Rasmus? He stopped playing like a striker and started farting around out here. Okay? So it's okay to look at it and say, hey, let's get some more balls into the box and let's make sure our striker is there to score them. Okay. Like this Hojlund was in the box getting more goals in 23-24 in the 6-yard box than Hojlund was before, or than Šeško was before. So it's okay to look at these things and say, hey, this is where I want a player to improve. And it's the same thing when you're able to talk about, someone like Kobbie Mainoo, to look at it and say, there's flaws in all of these players' games. There's things that they don't do that I hope that they do or that they improve upon. Kobbie Mainoo has flaws. He has flaws. You may not like it, but he does. I pointed it out in yesterday's watch along. You can see it if you pay attention to it when you're watching him. His out of possession work is below average. And if he's going to play in a midfield, it needs to be a lot better. He's very often behind the play when the ball is lost and not getting back, and his awareness and reading of dangers is worse than Bruno's at this point in time. So there's things he needs to improve. They all need to improve on certain things. And that's the reality of it. So hopefully everybody proves themselves this season. And as I've said before, we need United players to grow. You need United players to get better. But if you're flawed, which everybody is, there's no guarantee you don't have those flaws later on. There's no guarantee that you become less flawed. That's on you, on the coaches, on everybody to do that. So that's just the truth of the matter. So there's no guarantees of anybody's position. They have to do really well in this team. But it's open, and people have to expect that this season it is prove it time. If next summer, look, just here's the truth. If Ugarte has a bad season this year, he'll be for sale next summer. If Mainoo has a bad season this year, he'll be for sale next summer. If Bruno wants to leave next summer, he'll be for sale this season, next summer. If if Ahmad has a bad and injured season, he won't be untouchable next year. If De Ligt has a bad season, he'll be for sale next summer. It's literally how it works with every single player. People want there to be like these guaranteed things, but there are none. We don't have any players beyond maybe Lenny Yoro at this point in time who are like, we already know 100% they're always going to be there. Obviously the same goes for the coach. It goes for everybody. It goes for literally everybody. That's how it works for literally everybody at the club. Everybody knows that. It's only, nobody's denied that about the manager. It's only people denying it about the players because they're being too defensive over them. And unable to accept that criticism. It is what it is, man. Rashford did a lot more for United and was better than anybody presently at the club not named Bruno Fernandes. And he had 2 bad seasons and he's gone. You understand that? That's what it is, man. Like, so if you can understand that, then then there you go. If Rashford can leave, so can many other people. Rashford should have been a one-team player, but it didn't work out. A couple seasons that didn't work, and away you go. It was 18 months and he was gone. So, that's just how it works, man. But yeah, regardless, Alejandro Garnacho patiently waiting for his move to Chelsea to happen later in the window. That's a crazy post, man. That's a crazy post. It's a crazy post from Fabrizio. Late in the window. All right. Well, yeah, they're fucking around, honestly. They're definitely fucking around. Be real. That's not going to help us. That's not going to help us. Till Windows end. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, that's one of those funny ones where you're like, yeah, I know where the bodies are buried, all right? I know where this is coming from, okay? Where anyway, so that's the reality of all of these players, is that there's a long-term plan with all of them. But we'll see. It was like I was saying earlier, like Garnacho, man, like I don't know. I think if they try to lowball us at the end of the window and we can't get Baleba at that point in time, I don't think we'll accept it. I think we'll just let him rot.
James, can you talk about Ruben's build-up, how it changes with Baleba? I think our route play is quite clear, but what about in possession? One worry I have is it's quite direct. How does he slow it down?
He probably won't slow it down, but being direct and long ball is seemingly only a bad thing when it's United. You watch Liverpool today, long ball FC. I mean, they play extremely direct football. Direct football is Ruben Amorim's style for sure. He plays very fast, very direct. And there's a lot of long balls in there. But so do Liverpool. That's why I always make the comparison to Liverpool. I don't know why it's only, I'm not saying you're saying that, Angie, by the way, but it's seemingly only an issue when it is United, that we play long ball, being direct and going long. The funny thing is, it's also the direction of football in general in the Premier League. The Premier League has gone through these 6 cycles where it was like super heavy possession based with teams parking it deep, and now it's swung back to more direct attacks, more fast in ball, play. The problem we've actually had in preseason is that we haven't been able to play long ball. So like, just to answer your question, I've had this ready for this because I wanted to speak about our best 11 tactics and things like that. Yeah, McKenna got relegated, buddy. You do need to hoof the ball to progress it. When you're facing a man-to-man press, going over the top and going long into the channels is one of almost the best and safest options to play football. One of the main reasons we've struggled this season is actually because we haven't been able to play long ball, funnily enough. The game we played with West Ham and Bournemouth, when Rasmus was running, we were able to send the ball into the channel to beat the press, to escape the press, and to get by it a lot quicker. One of the funny things is, one of the very funny parts is one of the reasons we also conceded some big chances this last year, even though we cut down our shots a lot more. And one of the reasons we've struggled is because you take the errors that were made against Everton, right? Why did we make those errors against Everton that cost us goals? Well, because we were facing a man-to-man press, and we were facing a man-to-man press asking us to progress through the midfield without having an outlet. And so what are they doing? Ugarte trying to dribble and get out of pressure 1-to-1. Here's the problem, guys. Nobody wins 100% of duels. I don't care who they are. If Baleba comes into this team, he's a lot better on the ball than Ugarte. Guess what's going to happen? He's going to lose duels. Nobody wins 100% of their duels. Nobody. Everybody gets tackled while dribbling. Good dribblers are like 55 to 60%. It's like playing, counting cards at blackjack. You're playing the numbers and you have an advantage, but you're still going to lose the ball. No matter what, if we're asking our midfielders to dribble out of pressure one-on-one, the better players we have, they're going to win it more than they're going to lose it. But they're still going to lose it. They're still going to lose the ball. Anytime you're asking for one-on-ones, you're going to lose the ball. sometimes, and it's going to lead to chances. The fact that we always have to play it short, is very often why we're losing the ball in dangerous areas, because we have to play it short. Must have killed James when PSG won the Champions League. Not at all. But did you not notice that PSG play long sometimes? Like, did you not notice that in the Champions League, PSG in the big games went long, went direct, and played transitional very often to score goals with their forwards? They didn't. Enrique is a flexible manager. He's not just heavy possession and tiki-taka to score goals all the time. They went long. They went fast in attack. They went in transition to score goals in big games too. It's a tactic. It's a general tactic. It's something that practically everybody does. The fact that we can't do it is a problem. But we lost both goals against Everton because we were 1-1. Yeah, they went long ball for Hakimi in that game. Exactly, like long ball down to a wingback. Who would do that? Right? Because it's too condensed. We're trying to win. We lose the ball. All of that. We don't have the flexibility to play. Yeah, PSG counters were crazy, but suddenly that's a bad thing. That's how they won a Champions League, by being able to play on the counter. It's people have this Cliff. I'm sorry. Our only option isn't going long. It's the only option we don't have right now. It's kind of funny. Like, we don't have the ability to play long ball right now because we don't have a striker. Playing long ball is the only thing we don't do at the moment. You go watch the Fiorentina game. Like, we've been trying to pass through everybody for this whole preseason because we don't have the ability to play long balls into the channel to the striker. The first 2 minutes of West Ham was Cunha winning the ball from here, carrying it up the pitch, and sending Rasmus in, and he nearly scores. We haven't been able to do that since Rasmus has not been playing. That's just a fact. We don't play long ball. What happens is we don't have the ability to play long ball. We don't have the ability to run the channels. We don't have the ability to do a huge part of our build-up, so we get stuck. And then it's not long ball, we're just booting it because we're under too much pressure, and then the goalkeeper just launches it away because we don't have a way to beat the press. That's not playing long ball. That's panic. That's just getting the ball out of a bad situation. So, Altai was hoofing balls up to Mbumo and Cunha because we didn't have the way out of the team. We didn't have the way out to play because we were getting stuck in our buildup. You saw at a few points we started hitting some balls to Mbumo in the channel, and that actually helped us. Long ball, being able to play direct and play balls into the channel, is not the same as we can't beat the press, I'm just going to kick it. That is a different thing. That is your backup option so that you don't concede goals. Okay? There's a lot of direct play. The fact is we don't have the options to do that. So 2 things on that. You asked how Baleba would help. 1, Baleba will help because when he receives the ball in these tighter positions, he's better than Ugarte at turning out of pressure and moving the ball where he wants it to be. That's the truth of that, okay? But Baleba will help us a lot more out of possession and in possession, but he's not going to solve entirely this whole issue. He's just an upgrade. The issue tactically is only going to be solved by getting a 9 on the pitch. Baleba isn't going to change our tactics. The striker's going to change our tactics. Baleba isn't going to change the way we play football. He's just going to make us do it a lot better. A striker will change how we play football. And I think that's the thing. Like, there are upgrades that help you put the team in place. Why did we get 3 forwards? Because having a 10 in both of these positions who is competent, who can drop deep, and who has the skill set changes the way we're going to play football. Having a striker changes the way we're going to play football. Getting Baleba in doesn't change the way we're going to play football. It's just going to make us play football better. Okay? Just like upgrading at center backs next season is not going to change the way we play football. Because Heaven and Shaw can do what Lissandro does. Heaven and Shaw can do the job. But can they do it better? There's getting your system in place, and there's and then there's improving the quality. That's what building your foundation is. What we've never done at United, never, since Fergie retired, we've never ever put all the players in place to play the way we wanted to play. Instead, we left a bunch of gaps and said, we'll just buy a really good player and they're going to fix all of our problems and do all of that. No, they won't. So we got the 3 forwards in. We have the team to play the way Amorim wants to play. Even with, yes, Ugarte and Casemiro and Mainu and Bruno, we have the players to play the way he wants to play. Upgrading with Baleba, upgrading a goalkeeper isn't going to change how we play football. It's going to make us play better. And that's what we want to be at. We want to be at a place where we're not fixing massive gaps in the team where we're missing profiles. We want to get better players to fit into those positions and profiles. That's really the point. So, you need title-winning players in those positions. We don't have them. We have players who could potentially be good enough for some. We don't have players who are necessarily good enough or challenging for a title in other positions. So essentially, that's the whole strategy. That's the whole point. We haven't seen our play with an actual number 9 who runs into the channels. Ahmad seems to be taking too much time to play on the ball. He is. But I once again will say this. When Ahmad, let's say, drops in right here and receives it and turns inside, guess what he doesn't have? I almost cannot overstress enough just how much a striker affects the way that Ruben Amorim plays football. Just how much it affects how Ruben Amorim plays. Just the simple fact of not having a striker making this run means when Ahmad receives it and comes in, guess what option he doesn't have? The ball into the channel. So it's like, yeah, it gets too compact, too condensed, and he doesn't necessarily see the same options that he might. We're missing quite literally an entire way of playing football by not having a striker in there, So yeah, it's crazy. It drives me nuts. A number 9 is the most important way to play football. It is kind of how Glasner plays, and having Mateta in there running is a big part of what have made them successful over the last 12 months. Having Mateta's big. Having Mateta's a huge part of that. Having the ability to have a player do that, is why Mateta had a purple patch. If you watch what Mbeumo was successful at too, he was getting in and running in behind. Oh, connected for a second. Hold on. I think I'm back. I think I'm good. Might have died for a second, but I'm good. Surely Šeško starts. Well, you would think so, right? You would think so. And this is where this closed door friendly potentially comes into play here, because Benjamin Šeško should be fit, but is he ready to start? Well, he hasn't trained enough, things like that. All you need out of him is 45 to 60 minutes to get going. The idea of setting up a preseason, a behind closed door friendly, was specifically in order to is this, and the fact that we're looking at that, and we are looking at that, and that's been reported. The whole point of that is get some minutes in the legs in a closed door friendly, so you can get some minutes with the team, so you can get some minutes in there and be ready to start. Šeško should be fit. He should be fit. Match fit is a little bit different, but if he could play a game on Tuesday and get 45 minutes, I think he'd start on Sunday. So if we can get that closed door friendly done, I think he'll start anyway. I'm not going to lie. What do we have to lose? I think he'll start anyway. I think Ruben Amorim's going to start him. He's big, he's physical, he's fast, he's a robust player. He doesn't have injury issues. I think he's going to start him. Because he said the first comment he made after the game, was we lacked a reference point at striker. Now we have one. So essentially, that's the point. He knows exactly how important the striker is, and he will choose that player. So yeah, I think he's gonna play him. I think he'll play. Yeah, so I think that's what we'll see. That's what we'll see. I think we'll see Onana, Euro, Maguire, Shaw, Dorgu, Ahmad. I think Casemiro and Bruno, even though I think that's a mistake. Cunha, Mbumo, and Šeško starting. And I think we'll have a decent chance. I think we have a decent chance in that game because we've got some dangerous players, and I don't think Arsenal have been very good either. But yeah. Cool. So look, our sales, these issues are happening. These are things that are kind of slowing down the potential business we want to do, which is the midfielder and Baleba, potentially a goalkeeper as well. Now, on the goalkeeper front, I'm less sure of us making a move there yet. I know that we're doing stuff on it, but I'm a bit less sure on that right now. I really am. The word has been for a long time that we need to move by India. Some of the reports today certainly, indicate a direction that's more like, potentially to get the, that some of the words today definitely look a bit more like, Nana's the starting keeper. The idea of a younger keeper that could potentially compete over the course of the season feels more likely to me, just from our whole strategy. So I'm leaning Lamens, but I just don't think the decision has been made as of yet, frankly. And I still think that they would hope to move some more players on first as well. But it's active. It's just as active on that front, on the keeper front, as it is on the midfield. Contacts, people talking, targets being looked at. Whether they can actually get it done or whether they move for one of them is a different story as of yet. So we'll see. Okay, I'm gonna end it there. It's late. I gotta go, and I'm gonna put a video out, which is finally done now, about my 5 predictions for the season. Best young player, biggest surprise of the season, top scorer, top assister, and player of the season. I'm gonna do a live on Wednesday where I'm gonna make my predictions for the league, and a live on Thursday where you guys are gonna come in and share your predictions for the league with well. So there's all of that. Okay. I will see you all later. Spurs want Savinho. That's interesting. Why would City sell him right now? Why would that happen? Would he already be going? So weird. Anyway, whatever. All right. I'll see you guys later, okay? Have a good